Hello everyone, my name is Maciej Nowak and welcome to another episode of Awesome to Know podcast. My today's guest is Jakob Trost, a full-stack developer at Great. We talk about his journey from building websites to building product and about the details of full-site editing in WordPress. We also discuss recent WordCamp Netherlands and what AI can bring to the development of websites. Please enjoy my conversation with Jakob.
Hey everyone, it's good to have you here. We're glad you decided to tune in for this episode of the Awesome to Know podcast.
Hello everyone, we are recording another episode of Awesome to Know podcast. Today with me is Jakob Trost. Hello Jakob.
Hello, nice to meet you. Hey, I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad you accepted the invite, so I'm really happy we can talk. Jakob is a developer at Great, and maybe for starters, can you introduce yourself to our audience and to our listeners so they know you a little bit better?
Yes, of course. I'm Jakob. I'm a developer at the company Great. We are based in Munich, and I'm currently living in Munich as well. I actually studied design first and then became a developer during university and never looked back. And I am a developer right now, but I have like the design background and I sometimes do like concepts and stuff or discussing things with the team. But as of today, I'm a full stack web developer and handling a lot of things around WordPress and the blog editor and things like that. And we develop a product ourselves as a company, and that's what I'm currently working on. And we're really excited for the current state of WordPress and there's a lot to change in our opinion.
All right, that's interesting. So we will dig into that. All right, so you've been freelance developer, started as a designer, and now you are working at a product company. So what are you trying to solve with your product?
Oh, we are trying to solve. So in the first place, our idea was, or we saw the WordPress environment like a couple of years ago, where it was really separated into different third-party solutions to basically get a premium, good-looking website that you can actually edit yourself as a marketing guy from a bigger company or like a non-tech guy. There were like solutions like Elementor, Divi, but they're all third-party solutions, and they're really different in some kind of way. And the actual core experience of WordPress was not that great. It was not visually editable, and there were widgets, the customizer, menu editing interface, and a lot of different stuff where it wasn't really possible to get like, how are you editing a website actually? It was really fragmented. And that's where we first started in trying to develop a solution that was based on the core to get everything inside your WordPress that makes your website editable. And what enabled us to do that was the blog editor itself. So the blog editor came around like a couple of years ago, was not fully ready and was not really loved in the community, to be honest, and not by us as well. So but we saw the opportunity to have a core principle to make your website visually editable and to build really professional websites, because that's what the core editor kind of lacks as of today. And we are focusing on not having a website as like a product that you build once and then you start from scratch the next time around, but as a complex thing that evolves with time and everything is pretty much dynamic, and to separate design and content from each other to have more dynamic processes behind that. And that is like what we're trying to solve, and we think we solved it, and but there's still a lot of work to do. There's always work to do because the blog editor is evolving, and so is our solution. Because at the end of the day, we don't want to build a custom solution. We just wanted to build something on top of the core editor.
Okay. And how are you looking at this? Because you were working as a freelance developer for some time, and now inside the product company, how is it changing for you? Because from working from project to project, now we are building something that is lasting longer than, a given project time.
Yes, actually really exciting, to be honest, because when I was a freelancer, had some typical things to do. For example, having a little plugin, implementing a little plugin, or building a custom query to have like some kind of search functionality that the customer wants, or completely developing or building websites based on Elementor or Divi or whatever the customer actually provided. I was not usually the one to decide which tool to use. And that was how you just like you said, it was not really lasting long. It was just like some little implementation, and now we're actually able to build something bigger and to kind of fix some problems we see or some issues we're having at the core, not at the core of WordPress. We try to do that as well, contributing to WordPress. But that's a slow process. We might come to that later. But actually building a product that solves some problems at the core of the solution, to have like some things that we think are missing, implementing as a core feature of our product, and to really shape that product into something that looks and feels nice and feels like one experience that is not separated and fragmented into very different steps and different UIs as well, like Elementor, for example, does.
Okay, so what lies at the core of the problem that you're trying to solve? Because the block editor was released. It wasn't at the very beginning so great, but this is the time you were joining the company, or the grade your company started to produce or code the platform. And what lies at the core of the problem? What was the inspiration to start Great?
That there was just so much missing. There was so much missing from the core. There was so much, like, for example, there are great ideas and great blocks. For example, take patterns. Patterns are a great thing. And thinking like a couple of years back, we wouldn't know that patterns are such a big part of WordPress today. And they are actually really, really great. But if you insert a pattern and then later on update that pattern, that content you already inserted into your page doesn't change. The pattern actually imported in the page, it stays the same. So to update that block of designs and layouts, you have to re-import the pattern and then retype your contents or manually update the contents. So, for example, this is just an example, and that was something we thought that was actually missing, to have like something kind of dynamic inside WordPress. And not only when it comes to WordPress core templates, like for example, a single template or an archive template, which are, of course, dynamic in some kind of way because they always display the current title of the post, the current featured image and everything. But not only do that with core templates, but to do that with basically every little part of your website. What about if you have like some small box that displays a headline and an image and a text and maybe a button? If you could make that resource dynamic, so it automatically adjusts to everything you want to import later or to want to insert later, like your contents from the newest blog posts, for example, or manually typed content, but you also want to be able to reuse that little boxy asset on different websites and make it automatically adjust to your design. And that is like one of the things we thought that was really lacking, to having content and assets made dynamic. And that was one of the core ideas we had, where we're like, there's so much missing. There was so much that can be done quite a lot better. And that's just an example. There are a lot of different blocks that are missing and features to really build professional websites. That have a lot of content and a lot of infrastructure that needs to be built and needs to be displayed in the front-end UI as well. So that's I'm not sure if that entirely answers your question, but that's like one of the things we just saw there was so much missing.
Yeah, sure. So this is a great starting point. And whenever I say great, I worry that our listeners will not know if I'm just excited or I'm quoting the name of your company, because this is GREYD, right? So it's the same case with Osom when Osom is OSOM, and this is also the link to the industry. And I wanted to ask you, like, building a product company around missing features, in my opinion, it's a little bit tricky and dangerous because, for example, great case, companies that are building their products relying on Twitter API, and then the API got blocked or they are banned from using the API, and the whole business is shutting down. Similar case, Elementor, block editor, Gutenberg was released, and this is eating their business heavily. And how are you looking at this? Aren't you a little bit worried that what you are building might be replaced by native implementation inside WordPress core, for example?
That is a very good question. And that is a question we are, of course, tackling ourselves. So to give you a better understanding. So first of all, we are at the core, or at our hearts, we just want to make WordPress better. And we don't want to make it better because we think we can build it or our way to edit it is better than the core way or something. We just want to make the experience more rounded and give the users all the tool he needs. So what that means is we don't, and that was one thing I was tackling early on, we don't want to be a custom solution. We don't want that. We always want to have the most core user experience that you can have. To give you an example, we in the past, before full set editing came around, and actually still as of today, because our full set editing version is still in the beta phase, our customers are trying it right now. We had a solution to, full set editing, just to explain it a little bit, full set editing enables you to, for example, have a global style system where you can update all your color palette of your entire website from one point globally, and to have the templates, the single template archive templates I've talked about, editable. That's basically what full set editing does. There's a little bit more, but that's the basic thing. And we had a feature for that as well. We used the customizer to do all the global styles, and we actually technically did pretty much something really similar to the core. We generated CSS variables. It's not that crazy of a solution. It's just what we did. And also for templates, we had a post type that's what's called dynamic templates, or still is called dynamic templates, that lets you edit single templates, archive templates, and everything. So what I'm trying to say, we had a solution that the core now provides as well, but it was just not providing like years ago, or actually last year, as of last year. But there was a need to be able to do that because our customers demanded it, kind of, and we saw the need that, if you want to really build a dynamic website yourself and want to be able to edit everything yourself, you need to be able to edit that. So what we're doing right now is removing our old solution and actually stepping on and moving to full set editing and implementing the solution that WordPress built, because that's what our philosophy is. We don't want to be a customer solution. We kind of have to at some point, yes. But as soon as the core comes around, we always trying to update everything. Of course, we have to make it some kind of backward compatible for our customers to migrate the website to the new version. But as soon as the core comes around, we want to use that. And that is what our philosophy is. But that leaves, like you said, a lot of problems, or there is a high possibility that a lot of our features as of today will be implemented into the core at some point. There is a high possibility for that, and that is what we are aware of. And but we see it not as something that removes our solution or gives us a problem. We see it as a chance, because we can, as of today, give our customers an experience based on the most modern core principles, like the block editor and the full set editing. They can actually use those features as of today to build really complex professional websites, which they usually cannot because there are just some features missing, as I've told you. And as soon as the core comes around, we give them a solution to migrate to the new features. So we see us as kind of like a little bit of a leader, or one or two steps ahead of the core, to give our customers the core experience as of today and make them building their websites based on the core. Because the problem is, if you build on an entire custom solution, for example, like Elementor, then at some point, like if the API Elementor is built on is removed, I'm not believing it is, but if the customer wants to switch to the core experience, most of their contents has to be rebuilt. entirely. They have to rebuild the website. If they're doing it with us, of course, there's something that we provide as a third-party solution. Yes, we are also a third-party solution, but the difference is we are building so heavily on core principles that basically 80% of your website is still functioning as you expect. Of course, there are some style sheets and scripts missing from our solution. Yes, obviously there is. But you can reuse your content and you don't have to entirely rebuild your website. So you're not as dependent on us as you are when you build a website with Elementor. And that was one of the things we saw was really a problem in WordPress, because to build like some kind of website in the past that has complex stuff in it and needs to be edited visually, you had to use a third-party solution, and that makes you highly dependent on that solution. That is a bad thing for larger companies, for example. And we're trying to tackle that issue. But yeah, right now we are more focused on building more complex and more advanced features, and those core things that we think that are missing. We think we're at a point where we build pretty much everything a customer needs to build a basic professional website, and now we're focusing more on the more advanced stuff, how to manage hundreds of websites at once, how to distribute your content to hundreds of websites on completely different servers at once, how to manage those assets I've talked about, how to manage them and synchronize them across different websites. So we're stepping into the process of building more complex features and focusing on that. So we're a leader. We want to be one or two steps ahead of the core, but also focusing on more advanced features as well. Yeah.
So you're saying that what you already have is letting your customers do what they cannot do with the core yet, but this might come into the core. So my question is, why not reverse the direction, and why not incorporate the part of the code that you have created into the core? So I'm not saying you do the pro bono work, but isn't it? And so my question is, I guess, is like, how fast your work can be recreated into the core? What time frame are we looking at before you have to do something else in order to incorporate it back? Because I'm seeing this as I'm doing work that will let me sustain for half a year, and then it gets created into the released into the core, and then I have to rework this back, so scratch everything and use what I created previously, but from the core.
To kind of, I think I get the question. So, what time frame are we talking about? Of course, it would be nicer for me as a developer to just implement those functions into the core and then just don't have to worry about compatibility later on and moving to that. But that's actually kind of a slow process and not that easy. And obviously it shouldn't be fast and really easy, because then the valuable discussion around those features is not happening or is not having the same quality it needs to have right now. So we're trying to work with the core team. We're struggling a little bit with getting started and everything. We went to some meetings and discussions. We have to look at a lot of stuff and talk to some people, but we're still kind of new, and obviously we still have to earn some money. So we have to try to focus on features we're actually earning money on, obviously. But apart from that, I think those features were you're ahead of the core, but the core will implement them at some point. Those are just I think they're kind of smaller features. For example, to give you an example, what we're talking about. For example, now the core has margin and padding controls in a lot of the blocks, for example, but it hasn't had them for a couple of months. It came with one of the latest Gutenberg updates, and it's slowly coming to the other blocks. And we implemented an API or a solution that lets you edit margins on every block you wanted, and paddings on every block you wanted, and everything like that. So, but those are just minor features in our thought process or in what you need to do. But we think the core, or what we're when we're listening to the discussions that are happening on the core wants to give you a basic set of blocks to build a basic website, but to have like more dynamic things, animations, and blocks that are having advanced functionality, that is probably nothing the core really wants to do. So when you come to those advanced features, there's what your value really is. So on the one hand, we having those features that the people demand, kind of like margin controls, padding controls, and some more advanced blocks. But we also having like the advanced functionality that, in our opinion, will never be built into the core because, yeah, it's usually plugin territory, and we have like more advanced blocks. I hope that kind of answers your question. So those are like minor features that the core will implement, but in our view, in our eyes, to really build professional website, there are still some advanced features missing that the core probably will not implement, or a lot differently, like a lot different and with a lot less features and options.
You touched on an interesting topic. So you said that you are working with a core team, right? So I wonder how does it look like to work with WordPress core team, and what do you struggle with, or maybe what are great things in working with them?
Yeah, always when you say great, and always thinking of the company as well. No,
exactly.
No, yeah, as of today, we as a company are not contributing in form of code. We are contributing. We talk to a lot of people from WordPress, and we've just started as a product. I mean, we were still kind of new. We actually just launched our product in October or November last year. So we're like maybe our first birthday right around the corner. But we're as of today not contributing when it comes to code. We've been to some meetings from the core team where like they discuss some issues that are occurring and things like that. We talked to some people how we can contribute to the core development actually. So what we right now starting is taking apart in discussions, because we have, like I told you, we implemented features that the core wants to implement at some point, but they need feedback from end users and agencies that actually use those features. And we have those feedbacks. We use them ourselves, but we have customers that are agencies that use this solution, so we could provide feedback, and that's what we're doing today. And of course, we're joining meetups, WordPress meetups, and WordCamps and everything around that. But when it comes to core contribution in form of like coding and developing, we're not there yet. We're still a small company as well, so we have to kind of tackle. We have to kind of find out how many resources we can commit to this. And how we as a company we still have to make money at the end of the day, and if we're just core contributing all day, we would not make money.
This is for profit operations, so this is natural, and you have to sustain the company from the paid activities. I wonder what's in front of you and what's in front of great in terms of the product development. What do you want to achieve in or build in 1 year time? Let's put this, like a short-term goal. What's the short-term goal for you?
The short-term goal, so the shortest-term goal, to frame it like that, is to get our full-set editing feature ready. I told you we've just started a couple of weeks ago. We started our beta phase, so we have like the most of the solutions ready for our full-set editing tool or full-set editing version of our product. And we're right now testing it internally with our team, but also externally. We're having some customers who signed up for the beta phase and testing the product right now and giving us feedback. So we want to get that finished and release that into the public. And with that step as well, we've developed a full set editing theme, which is kind of one of the things you have to do when you build upon full set editing. And we want to release that into the repository. Because we're, as of today, right now, are not in the repository yet. It was just not a good time, and we didn't have the resources to go there, because you still have to tackle like all the tickets that come to you. Otherwise, you will be downvoted and everything. So we decided not to go into the repository too quick, too fast, and we want to go into there. And then, I've told you we are focusing at the more complex and dynamic features to really manage entire websites and hundreds of websites at once. And we're not that heavy in the bling bling fancy front end stuff, for example. So when it comes to fancy animations in the front end to make your headline fade in from the side and blink and whatever, and have we have a lot of animations at the core. We have parallax effects and everything, but we're not that fancy when it comes to those bling bling solutions. And yeah, we wanna implement that as well, because that's one step we have to still do to be there where other solutions are as well. Elementor, for example, or TV lets you edit like the content to make it really shiny and everything. We wanted to focus on the functionality to be dynamic, to have a solid core, and now we're building like those fancy features on top. That's where I see us in 1 year time. So at the repository, full site editing, 100% compatible with full site editing, and having a lot of animations and fancy stuff as well.
Sure. And for long-term goal, what's the end game for the product?
That is a really good question. You might speak to.
Yeah, I set the stage, you know.
No, the long-term solution, of course, it depends on where WordPress with the block editor is heading and where full site editing is heading. But I see us with as a solution that really bundles a lot of things. As I've told you, we're having a lot of features. We're having features that enable you to build everything dynamic. We're having features that enhances the block editor. We're having features that lets you manage your websites across servers. We have features to build other things like pop-ups, forms, and everything, and your own API and headless features. Where I see us in 5 on the long-term goal is where we have, where we are one solution where you can implement all those features from there and kind of customize your great product on the go. So what I mean with that, to just choose what you want to use from us and what you don't want to use from us. For example, those management solutions, maybe just collect them from us and implement them into your WordPress site and don't have to worry about the blog stuff, for example, or the form stuff or everything. So we kind of want to modelize to build everything in little blocks. And but it heavily depends on where WordPress is going. Maybe I see some ways into a little bit of a headless state. I think that's really interesting, and bringing React to the front end is something that I've kind of dreamed of, but as soon as the block editor came around. But that will be kind of dependent on what WordPress is trying to do. But basically just evolving and building those solutions that I've talked about, building better user experience to really make it even easier to manage all those hundreds of websites and distribute your content. Those are like just some things, but you could talk to my CEO or about the long time vision. I'm not 100% sure what I'm allowed to do as of today.
Yeah, but, sure. You have to feel like it's not like revealing too much too early.
I'm just placing some breadcrumbs here, but that's like kind of where we see the long-term goal. But it depends on WordPress heavily, because as I've told you, our philosophy is to always be as close to the core as possible. But that means we're pretty dependent on what the core does, which is a good thing. At the end of the day, we're of course obviously dependent on WordPress as a WordPress product. But
And you mentioned that the full site editing from WordPress is nearly like in the beta, and this is part of a couple of steps that WordPress is going through, and Gutenberg was previous one. Could you explain for our listeners what are the steps which are already executed and which are coming most early, and what's still in front of us?
So you mean for the WordPress full site editing version, or our own full site, our own beta version?
No, I'm referring to the WordPress core. So what's the bigger strategy that you are also have to monitor closely to be as close as possible?
Yeah, I think the goal from, I mean, I can only talk to you about what I know because I'm obviously not from WordPress itself, so I can just assume that this is the way, or just depending on the discussions we're following. The full site editing is still tagged as a beta version, and the current state is that you're, as a developer, are not really allowed to filter or to manipulate a lot of stuff, and that is by design. And WordPress chose to do it because they're still not 100% sure how they want to implement some of the features. And what they're trying to do is, refine that global style system and refine full site editing to make pretty much every aspect of your website editable globally. So as of today, just to go back to an example, as of today, you're allowed to edit the typography of your headlines, links, and your entire website. You're allowed to edit your colors of your links, headlines, and everything. And you're also allowed to edit your colors of your buttons, but only the background color and the text color in one state. You're not allowed to edit the hover state, active state, different types of buttons and everything. So they're trying to go in that direction. And if you think ahead, and think about what they're trying to do with the global style system. The global style system and full site editing itself, I mean, actually, when you think one or two steps ahead, global styles makes you edit everything around the design of your website, and your template editor makes you edit every layout aspect of your website, and the block editor does as well. When you think back of what themes are trying to do, a theme is providing you with a solution that, pretty much defines the design of your site and defines the layout of your templates and of the different types of pages, for example, like your single page, archive page, search page, and everything. And they may be giving you a lot of presets for those different types of contents. They're giving you patterns when you talk about about block themes, and they're giving you different templates for your pages when you talk about classic themes. But with the full site editing feature in global styles and a template editor, actually the user can build this all himself. So he can edit everything when it comes to the design with global styles. He can edit every asset inside the website with the template editor. So when you think about that, actually the user is some kind of a theme author itself. And what need is there for a theme inside WordPress when full site editing is ready to actually edit everything about your website? Because then themes will be kind of irrelevant, or when you think about the thing they're trying to do. I mean, I'm not saying that WordPress will get rid of themes, but when you think about what a theme actually does, you can do that with the global style system. So what that means is every theme could actually rebuild every other theme. So you don't need a different theme to build a different looking website. You just need one theme and build everything with that. And that is what we're actually trying to do already. And I think WordPress is heading in that same direction. And then there's a question, what is happening to themes? Will there only be one theme? Will there be no theme? Will there be like just a handful of themes that gives you a starting point, but from then on you can just implement a style preset or a style variation, because that's what global styles enables you to do. So those are the things that I'm really curious about, and I think WordPress is heading in that direction to kind of get rid of themes in the way we think about themes today. Because there's still, of course, and obviously, and it's really important, there's still a niche, or still the need for a professional designer to build a beautiful looking website. I'm not saying that there will be no use for that. I'm not saying it is best to give everything in the hands of the user. I think that is usually not the best solution when it comes to really big projects. But themes as we think of them today will be changing, maybe will be irrelevant, and themes maybe will only be style variations of the same theme. I'm not sure how that will shape out, but that is the thing where I think WordPress is heading. That is one reason as well why we try to get on full site editing as soon as possible too. We have a theme already, but with our theme in full site editing, you can actually rebuild pretty much every theme around there So what use is there for a theme if one theme enables you to build every theme you want? And that is like
and that one, just to dig a little bit deeper into this, that one theme would be starting point to move around elements and so on? Or why would you even need a theme? Because if this is one to rule many, I mean, one to rule them all, it's like just a starting point to move into the direction of no code or low code approach for WordPress.
Yes, this is a really good step into the no code or low code approach. What I'm trying to say is I don't know what they are trying to do with themes. I don't know if they want to get rid of themes. They want to keep them as like a repository starting point. I'm not sure, but from a technical standpoint, if you think ahead, you wouldn't need a theme. You would not need it. It's just a style variation of the same theme.json and the same basic template PHP files. So you wouldn't need a theme. I think WordPress will probably keep themes around for quite a long time because they kind of have to be backwards compatible and everything. But from a technical standpoint, you wouldn't need, because you would not really profit from that. And when I think about themes in the future, I think themes will be like a style variation as of today. Like, I mean, style variation is also already implemented into global styles. When you have a theme that supports style variations, you can browse some style variations. For example, having a red looking website, a blue website, a black website with edgy buttons, or a red website with rounded buttons. Those are style variations. Actually, style variations is very close to what classic themes actually provided. Just a variation, a different looking website. So themes in the future might be just really well curated style variations that really look very nice and very professional, because that's what designers do best and what theme authors do best. But from a technical standpoint, I mean, theme authors wouldn't need to be able to write code. They would just create a really beautiful looking style variation and post that as a theme, basically. And from a technical theme standpoint, we wouldn't even need one.
Yeah, so I wanted also to ask you about this low code, no code world, because with more and more tools that are doing heavy lifting for you, you as the end user, whether this is like a, let's say, content writer or content editor that has the job of also uploading the content, or a marketer who wants to move elements on a landing page, or a blog owner that wants to, for example, build blog from scratch for their own purpose. We are moving into the world where this is done by the framework, by the environment, and of course, to some extent, you are able to do this on your own. I wonder, is it something that will get much more market share, or it's like it will always fluctuate around what we have right now, where a lot of customers are building something out of like a ready package or ready theme, or buying themes and like adapting elements, or rather in a way that you will be designing inside of a WordPress editor, inside WordPress, admin panel, let's say?
It's a really good question. It's hard to answer. So, let's give you my opinion on that. I think tools like Elementor, or even if you look outside of WordPress, or in the past, in the WordPress tools, there were like Divi, there was, even before there was WP Bakery. But if you even look outside of WordPress, for example, when it comes to Webflow, when it comes to other tools that breaking those code barriers.
That's what I was getting at.
Yeah, I mean, they're really successful at the moment, and for a reason, because they break the code barrier. They enable pretty much everybody around there in the world to build code-based solutions, to build websites with you. In the past, you could only build a website if you knew some kind of code to some degree, and there wouldn't be as successful if there's not a really huge demand on the market for that. So I think we will be heavily leaning towards no-code solutions. I think that will be that is the way WordPress will look in the future. I really believe that, but there are some problems when you think about that, or I mean, some issues to still have to tackle, and that's what when I talked about themes and how we could get rid of themes, I'm aiming at as well. Because if you open up building websites for everybody, of course there will be, if there are more people who are building websites or who are able to build websites, there will be more creative solutions. There will be just the amount of websites that are really good and have a really good idea at its core will be bigger. But on the one hand, but on the other hand, there will be a lot of crappy websites as well, because you're giving all those tools in the hand of non-professional users, which is kind of like the idea, and it's a good thing, but the quality will lag a lot in some cases. Because there's just not a professional, for example, someone who studied design or studied marketing. It's not a professional building the website. I'm not saying that this person is not good at this. It could be a great designer, even if he or she hasn't studied it, but there will be some fails as well, maybe a lot of. So, and what I think WordPress kind of needs to tackle, or what will be a really good way to tackle this and the issues to solve, is like controlling which user and which user group has access to all those tools. I think this will be a really, really valuable step inside this whole no-code process, because when you have a really good system that can actually customize which user is able to edit this and able to edit this, then you have a really good no-code tool that it can actually bring all those strengths of all the people together and not have, I mean, if everybody can edit everything, it will be kind of mixed and really not as a straight solution that really tries to tackle one thing in one way. So we have many different styles, many different variations, because you have many different people in the project. So that is one thing that WordPress kind of has to do, or that will be probably really, really valuable. And you actually already seeing things like that. You're now, as a developer, can declare some blocks non-editable or non-movable or non-deletable. And those are the first steps when you think about going back where actually users cannot edit everything across your websites, because a lot of the user groups actually don't want that, because of course you want to be edited, you want to build your website your own as a designer without coding, but to give it to your customer who actually has no idea about design and about code, he can destroy a lot of things if you not prevent him or her from doing that. So that, I think, will be really interesting how we manage to do that. And
and I notice a lot of initiative products and companies around no-code movement. And this doesn't necessarily mean building websites in a no-code or low-code version, but also organizing data or working with data, working with integrations, and organizing their business in a way that they are using software tools without necessarily understanding how to code. And they are achieving great results with automations of different sorts to like power your business. If you want to set up the business, you can use a number of low-code tools in order to integrate your build one-pager website in one tool, integrate this with your CRM, integrate your CRM with some kind of a newsletter, for example. And you don't code where a couple of years ago you had to code in order to use API and use your API in one thing to fire up another thing. So I also find this very interesting to see what future will bring us. Also, with very far into the future, what AI will change for the life of developers or low code tools as well.
Yeah, that is really something to think about. Yeah, I think it's really a great thing that you today can kind of start a startup that is a tech-based startup, and you don't even have to write a single line of code because you have all those no-code solutions that do that for you. And to build a company based on those solutions, you really shouldn't be able to write code. I mean, if you're really good at something that enables you to build a company out of that, you shouldn't be necessarily be able to write code. I mean, it shouldn't even be a thing to start with, but it always was, and now we're actually kind of getting rid of this. And I think that's really a good thing. And when you think about themes as well, just to go back to the example, if you're a really good theme author, you basically kind of are a really good web designer, and you don't necessarily have to be able to write code. Actually, that's probably what you teach yourself, to be a really good theme author because you had to. But actually, if you're just a really, really great designer without the ability to write code, then you should be in the future, and that's actually where WordPress will be, I think, a lot stronger. You should be a great theme author because you'll have actually all the tools and all the things that all the things you need for that.
But also, I think it will be easier to be a great theme designer, not necessarily a great designer per se, but a great website designer working on pre-existing elements or style guides or prerequisites that are already there, and you making use of them.
Yeah, and when you think about it, it actually will be better for most of the people because you can actually focus on what you're really good at and don't have to think about all the stuff that you need to do to be getting there. So you don't need to write any code. You don't need to worry about those implementations and everything. You just can do what you're really good at, design websites or design themes, design assets and everything. So no code enables you to do that without worrying about all the implementation and the technical part, because that's what the tools are doing for you. And the topic you mentioned, I mean, AI, what that does for developers as well. I mean, we're seeing today how an AI, I mean, you've probably seen those image generators where you write a prompt and you get really great illustrations and images from that prompt alone. I mean, that will kind of reshape, or that would really reshape the illustration business. I mean, not really an expert in this, in all those businesses around there, but just when you think about it, if everybody's able, just by writing a prompt and maybe a style he wants to have the illustrations in, and already have an illustration or thousands of illustrations just with one click, and you can just select them and building website with it, or entire illustrations and cover flows for movies and everything. I mean, it kind of asks the questions, what do we need illustrators and everybody now, if you really think one or two steps further. But that's a dangerous, and then really it's a dangerous question. It's kind of like, as an illustrator, if I were an illustrator as of today, I would be a bit afraid of what the software is doing. And I think we're seeing it with illustrations as of today, but even with code and development, I mean, we're not that far away, I think, from AI actually overtaking humans in writing code and being better than humans in writing code and implementing solutions. So maybe
there's already GitHub Copilot, for example, not for WordPress. Maybe we were testing this, by the way, but it wasn't working great for WordPress, but for the basis for its usefulness is the great code base, and not so many WordPress developers are hosting on GitHub. Don't know why, but they are not. But other technologies that are heavily reliant on GitHub are working better than WordPress. So it isn't also like the code is written for you, but you are the guide for the Copilot to fill in the blanks, for example, or do the boilerplate for you, the code that is written over and over and is boring and not,
Yeah, actually, as a developer as of today, you're not doing all the stuff on your own anymore. I mean, usually you shouldn't. You using frameworks for pretty much everything. You're using compilers. You're using beautifiers, whatever. You're using every tool that is out there to enhance your workflow, and you're only focusing on building the advanced or more complex functions and bringing everything together. Because the chances are there's probably a framework out there that does exactly what you're trying to do to achieve. You just have to bring it together with what you already have. So actually, as of today, pretty much automatic coding is we're already doing it, so it's not that far away from AI actually doing a lot of the things for us. But yeah, will be kind of scary to see what AI will be able to do in a couple of. It actually is able to do a lot of things. You just mentioned it, but I think there are still some steps until AI really takes over and writes better code than most humans. I mean, there will be a point, I think, but we're not there yet. So as of today, but
I have read today in one of the newsletters that one of the jobs that is already emerging and will be in a very high demand in a couple of years' time in the future is that prompt writer. So if you type those prompts of, I want this picture with a dad hanging over an old man or whatever, those kind of prompts will be a job. Really to and at least a skill, sorry, not a job, skill that you have to master, because this is exactly like being able to quickly search something in the Google, and the whole idea of our like teenagers that are mobile natives and so on, but being able to do everything with their phones. And this is what our, let's say, parents are saying, amazed what they are able to do. I am not sure they are so, for example, able to so quickly find stuff on Google, because this is not the same thing to be spending time on the phone versus making use of it very fast, for example.
Yeah, so what you mean is like we're a lot better at writing prompts into Google than our parents were. And when you think about the skill of writing prompts for AI, we're not that familiar, or we're definitely not growing up. I mean, we too, as people, are not growing up with that technology already there, but our children might grow up with that technology, and they will be able to write really good prompts really easily because they grew up with it. And that's actually a really interesting skill, to be able to write really good prompts. For AI.
And this is very close to programming. This is very close to programming.
Yeah,
you have
true.
To replicate this idea like a set of steps, and you have to recreate this in a synthetic way so that this is easily understandable and repeatable for the algorithm. But enough about AI. We have digressed so far from WordPress. Sorry about this. Or maybe not sorry. I enjoyed it.
It's really interesting. Yeah, me too. It's really interesting when you think about all the things going on around WordPress and outside of WordPress. I mean, it's not the only thing.
Jakob, I have also a couple of quick questions. This is an experiment for the podcast, and there is so far 9 of them, and this is this or that. So I will ask them and see what happens. So are you ready?
Okay, I'm ready. Yes.
Yeah, let's see what happens. All right. Question number 1. Hosting or cloud?
Cloud.
Meetup online or offline?
Online.
LinkedIn or Twitter?
Twitter.
Podcasts or books?
Podcasts.
Freelancers or agency?
Freelancer. Oh, there's no context in those questions, but I would say probably freelancer. Yeah.
Yeah, you can elaborate if you want.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I can elaborate. Yeah, it's really hard to answer those questions because all the context is missing. Yeah. For some context, I was thinking a lot about the first question as well, cloud or hosting. I mean, it depends on what you're trying to do and what you're trying to build. Freelancer or agency. I mean, I think the future will be a lot of more freelance based, and I think it's great to be a freelancer, but it also has a lot of risks. We had a pandemic, or still having a pandemic, and a global crisis and everything, and it is probably good to be in an agency as of today, and was as of 2 years ago. Yeah, and on the other hand, I was really struggling with my answer podcasts or books, because podcasts are great for like everyday use, but I really enjoy reading books. And if I sit down in the evening and maybe read a book, I would not change that for podcasts, because that's an entirely different experience. But if I'm on a suburban train or wherever, on my way to work or whatever, I would always listen to podcasts. But or when you think about vacation, where I really want to get everything that is digital out of my way and just having like a really laid back experience, I will always switch back to books as well. So yeah, I mean, all the questions are, it kind of depends, but this is like what I'm leaning towards. Okay,
Yeah,
so
that's
go
fine.
ahead.
That's fine. That's fine. Okay, 4 more to go. Using plugins or avoiding plugins?
Using plugins.
Okay. Multi-site or multiple sites?
Multi-site.
Headless or not?
I mean, headless or not. Today not. I mean, yeah, okay, not.
Okay.
I mean, it is really hard to. Yeah, I'm loving the headless aspect, but headless aspect is basically just an API, and then the front end has to fetch everything. And if I'm really a developer and want to build like the best solution out there, I would choose the headless approach. But it depends on the company size as well. If you're really a big newspaper company, for example, it is really good to go headless, because you can distribute your content everywhere. If you're just a small company with just a simple landing page, you would not go to headless, because the overhead you create is like really, really hard. And it depends on your resources as well. If you're really tech heavy and have a lot of developers, actually headless is a really good way to work with that. But if you're not having developers, then you will struggle with headless, because basically for everything you want to change on your website, on your head, you kind of have to use a developer. Yeah. So
Sure.
yeah, I'm loving the headless approach. WordPress is not headless. Obviously, you can make it into a headless solution. Yeah, from a business perspective, I would not go to headless, but from a developer, I'd really like headless, because yeah, I can use the framework I'm most comfortable with, and the person or the people providing the content can use headless CMS that really is good at providing content.
Perfect. Okay. And last one, Gutenberg or Classic Editor?
Gutenberg. That was an easy one.
Yeah, that was easy. I knew the answer.
that was the best of the questions. No, I didn't really have to think about that. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, and we met last time a week ago on WordCamp Netherlands. Yeah, exactly. And just to shortly wrap the conversation up, maybe we can touch on the WordCamp. So how did you like it?
Oh, the WordCamp. It was really nice. It was actually, I mean, we've been to, I've personally been to 3 WordCamps as of today. I've been to Vienna earlier this year. Then I've been to the WordCamp Europe in Porto, which was a really big event. Not really comparable to the Netherlands one.
Same as me. I mean, I've been to the same WordCamps this year.
Yeah, and so those are all the WordCamps I've ever been to. And this one was really nice. It was really like a small community-based thing. I mean, the location was great inside the zoo. I really liked Arnhem as well as a city. It's really a green city, really refreshing. You feel kind of you're not really in a big city. Like I'm coming from Munich. It's really car heavy, and yeah, that's like kind of a refreshing city. But when it comes to WordCamp, it was really nice, because there were like pretty much only professionals around there, and was kind of like a community vibe, and everybody you talked to was kind of deep into WordPress, and I liked the event. I wasn't able to be at that much talks as I like planned to do because usually just starting to chat with
Hallway
people
track.
and you hallway track, you kind of lose track of time, and then you staying in the hallway and talking to people. So I cannot really say that much about the talks because I haven't been to that many, actually just 3. But it was like a nice community feeling, and it was nice not being so crowded as, for example, Porto, which is a really cool event too, but it's like entirely different. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. What was
So,
your feeling about the WordCamp in Netherlands? What is it?
very good. I was surprised, of course, by the venue, and there was it was interesting because no matter to which how do you call it, like auditorium you went, there was always this very subtle animal aroma, which was pervading, like there every time wherever you went. So this was interesting. I couldn't be on the second day, unfortunately, because of the bus drivers strike that was announced on the first day, and I had flight next day in the evening, so I had to go back, more than 2.5 hours to the Schiphol and then wait in the queue. So for me, it wasn't viable to stay on the second day, which I regret. And I was a little bit surprised by the agenda and the main topic for it, which was sustainability. And it surprised me because I counted afterwards, there were 5 topics, 5 presentations regarding sustainability. And this is surprising. There were 4 tracks and 2 days times 4 tracks. So there was a lot of presentations, obviously. So this is also very, very nice that there were so many, there was so much content available. But it surprised me that this was so heavy on sustainability.
I was kind of surprised and not surprised because we have a friend of us we're working close with. She comes from the Netherlands as well, and she's like really heavy on accessibility and sustainability. And she already told us that, especially in the Netherlands, and everybody around that kind of that part of the community is really focused on those things. And I think that's really a trend that is, as of now, is emerging inside the web, the entire web. Actually, not only WordPress, but it's a way to make money, I think, at first, because to like provide sustainable solutions and more accessible solutions. First of all, I think most people think of it like a way to market ourselves or brand ourselves to make some kind of money. But I think it's a really important topic to talk about. Accessibility obviously is. Obviously, we have to make we will all profit from making our content and our websites and all the information we provide for the web to make them accessible for everybody. But also sustainability. Sustainability is not really a thing that was talked a lot about in the recent years, and it's just right now emerging because, we as a tech industry, we're not producing products that are wrapped in plastics. Obviously, we're not. But at the end of the day, we are creating resources at a hosting company, or we are some kind of help. We're kind of accountable for that hosting companies get bigger and having more hosting centers, and maybe those servers stand like in the middle of Africa and have to be cooled down by electricity. And so we kind of have to think about how to be more sustainable as a whole business, but it's a really hard thing to think about as an individual, because just by you not having like one, or having like 3 megabytes less on your website of data, it's like not really changing a lot. But that's what, when you talk about sustainability, you as an individual have like not really a lot of power. But it was interesting that so many talks were talking about this topic. Because I think the people that are at the WordCamp don't really have the power to change a lot when it comes to sustainability, except from marketing themselves as a more sustainable product or something. But I think it's a really important thing to talk about and to obviously think about, because we have some influence. Obviously, our footprint is not zero. We have to kind of think about how we can be more sustainable.
But I have a problem that in order to make the website sustainable, which you more or less cannot, because it will always consume resources, and the only resources are it's electricity, and you have no control over what electricity the warehouse, or not the warehouse, the data center is using. You can
you can select your hoster, but that's pretty much the end of it. Yeah.
Or build a pressure by creating whole set of incentives like green stickers, big green stickers, and certificates, which is industry in itself and prone to be like skewed. And this is something I have a problem with, because in order to produce less, to use less electricity, you have to optimize the website. And it's already known science how to optimize the website or do the CRO. So it's like reinventing the wheel under under different label. And I have a moral problem with it. Like, this is not why people are optimizing their websites. They are optimizing their websites because they want to have higher revenue, higher conversion rates, and everything that's known for years of using websites and doing growth initiatives by marketing and sales teams of different companies. And if you are an owner of a blog, that's not so very often read, your whole week effort of making your website more sustainable is reduced or nullified by you watching one more episode on Netflix. So I'm not really buying the whole concept. I'm buying the fact that this is a side effect of making websites more performant, which is the good in itself, because you will have better experience as the end user. So this is what we were hearing 3 years ago, and now we are hearing it's not only this, but also carbon footprint, which I don't buy. I don't buy this really. So I have this problem, which I raised on one of the presentations there. So yeah, but
yeah, it's kind of a rebranding of the same thing. I mean, we've talked about PageSpeed for the last couple of years because of the reasons you've just mentioned, and now actually the only thing you can really do to make your website more sustainable is optimizing your PageSpeed and the resources that are consumed. So to have like less file size and less resources to be consumed by the visitors of the website. And I think the thing or the power we have to change things, or it's not really huge. We cannot really change a lot. As you said, as soon as you watch one episode of Netflix, I mean, that consumes a lot more data than your website probably does, because your website is just a couple of kilobytes, megabytes when you count all the images. But a movie on Netflix is a lot more. But I think it's an important task to at least talk about or think about, maybe when it comes to selecting your hoster, having a look into where your hoster is actually having all their servers and their data centers, and maybe that's something you have control about, but you can control of. But everything else, you could maybe reduce the amount of resources you're using building a website, but that's not really changing a lot, and it's kind of a rebranding of the same topic in some kind of way. We're just now talking about sustainable, and we were talking about PageSpeed before. And
I don't say this is a problem that we are using less resources. What I have a problem with is that it's like losing the focus and thinking that you are doing something when you are doing nothing. So if you get a green sticker, it won't change much, but you will think that you accomplished something, whereas you didn't really accomplish anything. just because you slightly reduced your carbon footprint, and because I think this is either going into the millions of websites, so that the millions of websites should be optimized by a couple of percent, and big numbers will make the change, or big websites, which aren't so many, that are handling millions of users on a monthly basis of traffic. And then it would mean regulating them. So enforcing some kind of regulations to make them passing like dishwashers, like energy certificates, like dishwashers or cars or any other electronic equipment that has to pass certain grade. And this would be highly like limiting possibilities for expressing of the companies or business freedom of what you want to do on the website. So I have this mixed feelings, because this is very important topic to reduce carbon footprint, and I agree wholeheartedly. What I resent is the narrative that you can do a couple of tweaks and fix the problem. So
yeah, I agree.
It's really diverting the attention and letting you think there are shortcuts to do some important stuff. There are no shortcuts.
No.
And this is the narration is not something I can agree with.
I agree with you. Yeah, that's really your problem. I mean, yeah, it's a really important topic, but to like give you the idea of having shortcuts to actually reduce your footprint significantly it's not working that way.
Yeah. All right. So I think with the WordCamp short WordCamp info relation, we can wrap this up. And Jakob, is there anything you'd like to add or we didn't touch upon during our conversation? So is there anything you would like to add or say something I didn't ask you about?
Oh no, let me think. No, I would just recommend everybody to think about how they're using their website, what tools they're using to build their website, and how dependent they are on their tools they're using. Because I see some changes in the whole business of WordPress, and we see Elementor with products like Elementor Cloud, and we probably all know that at some point Elementor is forking WordPress and moving away from WordPress. So I would encourage everybody to think about what kind of solutions you're using to building your website. How dependent are you on those solutions, and how you are planning to be ready for whatever comes to WordPress. I mean, we've talked a lot about different pathways WordPress could probably go, but we're not sure, cannot know. But I would just encourage thinking about how you build your website at its core, and how you planning on maybe rebuilding your website, or not rebuilding, just tweaking a little something about your website. I was just encouraging everybody to think about that, and maybe go to a website and try our beta version of full site editing. I mean, it's really a lot of things going on there as well. That's some closing thoughts from my side.
All right. Thank you then. Thank you very much, Jakob, for having the time to record today, and for a very interesting conversation with you. And good luck with building great.
Yeah, thank you a lot as well for having me here. I hope I was not too technical. I might be at some point, but I hope that's fine. I hope everybody could follow me, or at least to some degree. And I hope it maybe gives you a little thought process of what maybe to do a bit differently. And I was really glad being here, and hope to see you around at the next WordCamp, probably, I guess.
Exactly. Italia this time, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. So see you then.
See you.
Take care.
If you like what you've just heard, don't forget to subscribe for more episodes. On the other hand, if you've got a question we haven't answered yet, feel free to reach out to us directly. just go to awesomestudio.com/contact. Thanks for listening, and see you in the next episode of the Awesome to Know podcast.